This is video part 5 and the final episode of the Building the Wall mini-series of the larger Building a House in Africa series. This is kind of the final stage, everything that has been done. Without further ado, check it out. Boom! What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa, and I'm a Sierra Leonean American. And if you want to know what it's like to build a house in Africa, then this is the video for you. Alright guys, so this is video number 8 in my series on building a house in Africa. This is video part 5 and the final episode of the Building the Wall mini-series of the larger Building a House in Africa series. This has been a labor of love. It has taken quite some time. It was done over about a 5-week span. This is kind of the final stage, everything that has been done. The only thing that has to be done once I leave is going to be the adding of the barbed wire, which you'll actually see once I've gone. Video and picture footage of that will be shared as well. So without further ado, check it out. What's up, guys? So I'm back at the property and I want to show you what we've done so far. So here is the back of the property here. This is the outside wall. It goes all the way down to the end. So that's done. I'm also on the side street here. So this is the side wall. And so as you can see, the walls are pretty high here. So people can't really get up and over. You got a lizard right there hanging out. I don't know if you can see it. I just had to add 2 rows to that one over there. And then I added 1 row here just to make sure this is high enough. So let's go around to the front. So now we're at the front of the property. And as you can see, we have a temporary gate here. That whole wall is done. You got a temporary gate. And then that's where the security post is gonna go. But you can even see on the side walls how tall it is. All right, so going into the gate now. Go inside. You see the wall on the inside is really, really high from the inside because the land on the inside is lower. But yeah, you can see the side wall I showed you, the back wall back there. This is the front wall now, all done. The side wall was already done on the other side. And then here's the gate again. Back wall, side wall, the front wall, temporary gate. So we're going to come down and look at the gutter, the newly created gutter over here. So the water, you can kind of see it from the end all the way back there. You see that hole right there? That's where the water comes in from the back, comes down through this gutter here. Right now, there's some tin pans over top of it, but underneath here is this gutter, and it goes all the way down here. We have to remove that rock, but all the way down here and out through there, right out into the street in the front. So water that comes from the back comes all the way down through this property into the front there. That way it doesn't sit on the front wall here, and it doesn't erode any of the bricks that we have and the blocks that we have created. So yeah. So we're back at the site one last time to just look through everything that's been done so far. It's actually about 99% done. So the wall itself is done. There's just some more cosmetic changes that need to be made. We're adding an extra door later. We're going to be adding some barbed wire to the top. And then the lock needs to be added to the temporary gate. But let's kind of walk around so you can see everything. So this is the front of the property now. So if you remember when we first came up here, there was nothing here. It was just an open space. So what they did was they added 10-foot wall to the outside, all the way down and across the front of the property. And so you come over. And if you remember, there was an opening space here when they were starting the work so that they could add the gate here. So there's a temporary gate now where this door opens to go in and out. And technically, the whole thing can open out if a car needs to drive inside. But eventually, there will be a full gate that'll be a sliding gate that'll go across here. The security post is going to be on the other side of here. So there'll be a hole here so they can watch out to see who's coming and going. And so when people honk to come in, they can see who it is and ask who it is. That's the front. Let's come around to the side. So if you look at the side here, what they did was same thing, built a 10-foot wall here. And so the rainwater we were talking about in the previous videos, the rainwater comes along the side here, the runoff, and then down to the front of the street. So they built a 10-foot wall. Now, originally when they did this, they only had it up to right here because on the inside where you'll see, because the ground on the inside is lower, the wall was 10 feet from the inside, but it wasn't 10 feet on the outside. So we had to make some adjustments. So this one, now we have an extra row up here. And so that's why you see this one here. This one was high enough, that's fine. Here, this one and this one, where you can see the number 2, they had to add 2 extra rows because even though on the inside it's 10 feet, if from the outside it was only to right here, which you could easily jump over. So they added 2 rows to make it high enough so that it doesn't make it easy to jump over. And then the same thing here. This side here too was too low. It was only to right here. Over the last couple of days, they added 2 rows here. And eventually this road here that you see, I'm going to eventually pave this road and this will be a place for people to park. And eventually we'll go all the way up so that there's a street over there where people can go down that street and drive out. It's a pretty good height. We may have to actually add another row here now that I'm looking at it. But inside, it's much higher than it looks like from the outside, and you'll see that when we go around. We'll come around to the back. Previously, back here, it was just an open space, right? There was this row of bushes here that you can see here now. That was the delineation between this land and our property. Now, this has been done. So there's a retaining wall down here, so when water comes, it's going to flow all the way down there and run off there, and then water will flow down here and run off there, and it doesn't keep hitting the side of the fence, so we don't have to worry about it eroding the fence. Built this really, really high retaining wall that goes all the way across here, all the way down there. So when rainwater comes down, it'll either just go one of 2 ways, and it'll run inside there. But we'll show you the gutter and the drainage on the inside. So we're just coming through the temporary door now. So what I was explaining before, right before we came inside on the outside, is we were talking about the walls here. From the inside, as you can see, it's much higher from the inside than it is outside because the land on the inside is actually lower than the land on the outside. So with the land on the outside being here and the land on the inside being here, they originally built it for 10 feet from the inside, but even this still wasn't 10 feet, so they had to keep going. When we lower that back part of the land and level it all here, that back wall is going to end up being like 14 or 15 feet high. So that's something we had to think about. So we didn't want to make it too high in the back. But also, if it's that high, it's still a deterrent for someone to try to jump the fence because they're not going to be able to get back out, or they're going to break an ankle coming down trying to hop the fence from back there anyway. So that's also why we didn't go much higher on the back fence there. But in the front here, so you see there's a little bit of a kind of a gutter in the front. It'll collect water, and then they have what we call weeping holes in the front where the water can just go through, so the rainwater can go through, and then you can see all the way at the end there, the gutter is done. But we'll get to that in a second, so let's just go inside and look at the rest of it. So the ground here is not like paved or anything. When we first got here, it was just plants and just like uneven ground. So they used some of the cement they made here and some of the sand to make it a little bit more easy to walk up and down. And a car can actually drive up here now. So they're making more blocks to add to the front up there just to make that all level because they added some to the wall here. So these will be added in January. And so yeah, you can see all 4 walls. So this wall obviously is done. The back one is done. And then you've already seen the front one. So really all that's left to do here now is barbed wire on the top. So they have a thing called a power pat. Basically is like the same thing as a retaining wall at the bottom. The same thing will be done with a power pad on the top, because what you don't want the rainwater to do is to erode these bricks. What ends up happening over time is if you don't do a good job of putting something over top of it, it starts to erode the bricks. So we're going to have power pad, which is basically just cement put on the top, and then the barbed wire is going to be put on top of that. And so that's the last thing that needs to be done for the fence. The next thing we'll do after that is flatten this land to about right here. We'll take all that dirt from back there flatten it down to here. So the whole land will be about this height or maybe a little lower. And then that'll be what the topography of the land looks like. Then we'll get a better understanding of how to build the house and where it'll sit and all of that stuff. But the initial thought is the house will sit here. Boys' quarters will be back there. So all this stuff here will no longer be here when that's done. So these are all temporary. The outhouse, the kitchen, the storage unit, and caretaker's place, that will all be gone once the boys' quarters is built in the back. That'll have its own plumbing. It'll have a kitchen. It will have 2 bedrooms in it. And so that'll actually be where I eventually stay every time I come here. So instead of having to stay with a relative or staying in a hotel, I'll have kind of like a 1-bedroom apartment here where I'll stay there until the house is built. So flattening the land first, boys' quarters or the house workers where they live will be done next, and then the house itself will be done after that. All right, guys, so final trip to the property. What'd you guys think? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it looks good? Do you think the wall looks too high? Just give me your input about the wall, what you think about it. If you built walls before, what you think. Like, I really want your opinion. I want to hear what people are thinking. But for us, it's like, it really feels like now the property is finally secure, right? I finally feel like the property has been secure. And now all I have to do is get started on actually building the house. So if you like this video, guys, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, or share it with anybody you know who's thinking about building a house in Africa, especially West Africa and especially in Sierra Leone. I think this will be really valuable to them. I hope it was valuable to you. All right, guys, I'll see you all in the next video. All right, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like, comment, and share it with your friends. All right, see you on the next video.